welcome to Stacks FX. In today's video, I'm going to be reviewing 3 of the trades that I took last week. And the first one is going to be USDZAR, which is the first pair we're going to be looking at, and which is the first pair that I actually traded last week. As you can see on the screen, I've written out the date. And on USDZAR, I was able to catch 2%, which was not my initial target, but then that's what I ended up getting. So we're going to start off by, I'm going to show you guys screenshots of how before I took the trade, or not before, but then when I actually took the trade, and then how it turned out afterwards. So let's move on to the screenshots first. And then after that, I'll show you how we actually got the trade with analyzing. Okay, as you can see on my screen right now, we have the screenshot that I took as soon as I entered the trade. As you can see here on the top left side of the screen, you can see it was on the 10th of July, 2023. So as you can see, this was the trade right here. I entered here, and then my target was up here. My stop loss was down here. Then this is the screenshot of the after trade. So what had happened was price pushed up and then took me out at break even. That's how I was able to capture 2% on this trade. So let's go back to the chart and I'll show you how I was actually able to analyze it and get this trade. Okay, so right now, I'm going to show you how I was able to get this trade. The first thing I spotted out was this uptrend right here. Let me just do this. So once I was able to capture that, I was like, okay, I can see price is pushing up. So I would like to also go up with the trend, the trend is your friend. So over here, the next thing that I saw that was also going to allow me to spot out this entry and more confirmation was I spotted out this zone over here. Right here, as you can see, price came up here, pushed down, came up, and then here, came back up, broke the zone, came back down, making it a support, then broke it, making it a resistance. So as you can see, every time price came up to the zone, it respected. So let me show you now how I was able to get the entry. So before I got the entry, the market was over here. So what I was waiting for was price to come down, touch my zone, and then that's when I would enter. So, and that's what actually happened. Price came down to the zone, respected it, and then as soon as I saw that, I took my entry right over here, and my stop loss was just below here. I'm not exactly sure how many pips, but then it was just right below here, as you saw in the previous screenshot. And then my target was actually this high over here. That was my target right there. And my first take profit was by this previous high. So let me just point it out for you guys. So remember, price came from here, right? Came down. This is where I entered. So my first take profit was set to be here. So price, as soon as I entered, what happened? Price impulsed up to my take profit, to my TP1. And then from there, what I actually expected price to do was for price to push up to my TP1, knock me, and then break above, then come to retest this zone, and then go back to my initial take profit. And the reason why I expected price to make this move was because of this zone over here. If I just do this for you guys, so you can see right over here, price was a support here, came up to this resistance, came back down, broke it, came to retest, broke it, and then here I expected price to, TP1, break it, retest, and then carry on going up. But then that's not what happened. So what happened was how I managed this trade as it got here. Once my TP1 was matched, what I did was I moved stop loss to break even. So over here, I moved stop loss to break even. and then what, price came down and stopped me out at break even. So that's how I was able to capture 2% on this trade on USDZAR. So let's move on to the next pair. The next pair we're gonna be looking at, and which is the second pair I took last week on Tuesday. So USDZAR I took it on Monday on the 10th, and then this is the trade I took on Tuesday, the 11th of July. So on USDCAD, I was able to catch 7%, which is actually what I anticipated, you know. So this was actually a good trade. So let's get to it. I'm gonna start off by showing you guys screenshots again of how the trade was moving from the time I entered, and then from there we'll move back to the analysis. So let's start with the screenshot for you guys so you can see how actually the trade played out. So this is the trade that I took of USDCAD on the 11th of July last week, Tuesday. So as you can see here, we were in this uptrend here. Then we finally broke the uptrend, and then that's where I took my entry. So this is the screenshot of the trade that once I entered, this is the screenshot. Then this is how it played out as soon as it hit my TP1, and then this was the screenshot, the final screenshot. Okay, not the final, but then I wasn't around to take the final screenshot, but then you guys will see how the whole trade played out. So let's go back to the charts and I'll show you how I got this analysis. So with USDZAR, how I got the trade was I spotted out this uptrend right here. Right about here, yeah. And my resistive trend line up here. So once I had spotted out that we're in a uptrend, I was anticipating buys actually, you know, for me to go with the trend. But then also what I had seen was this previous resistance turned into support over here. Let me just get it right for you guys. So right here, you see previous resistance, you know, turned into support here. And then what I had seen, because as I said, I was anticipating for the price to actually maybe come here and then push up, you know, but then that never happened because what I had seen here is that price became choppy and started losing momentum. So I anticipated buys from the get-go once I saw that. So then once I saw this and price actually broke this trend line, I actually took my entries by these candlesticks right over here with my stop loss roundabouts here. And this trade was actually so interesting because it almost took me out, you know, by just a pip actually. But then yeah. So and then for my take profit, I was targeting what, this low over here, the 90% rule. So this is how this was my thingy, my take profit and my stop loss. So and then from here, once I entered my trade, I knew that I had to set my TP1. So I set my TP1 at this low over here, roundabout right there. Let me just do this. That's where I set my TP1 over here. So and then as soon as I entered, as you can see, let me go closer so you guys can see. As soon as I entered, your price played around for a couple of hours before, you know, actually dropping. As you can see here, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours actually before it dropped, you know, before I was actually in profits proper. Because you can see this candlestick over here almost took me out. You know, the wick went back into the trend, but then the body closed below, which was an indication of what, okay, we are selling. So then price started trickling down here. And then what? We finally hit my TP1. And then once we hit my TP1, I saw price playing around here, playing around and started pushing up. So what I had done was, oh, actually, before I had done that, once price hit my TP1, what I had done was I moved my stop loss towards to break even. So I was running a risk-free trade. So once I hit TP1 and then I started seeing this, I knew that I also had to adjust my stop loss. So from break even, I moved my stop loss to roundabout here. As you can see, as you guys, if you go back to the screenshot, you can see that I had this line over here. This line here became my stop loss once price hit my TP1 and started pushing up, because I was like, I'm not gonna give back so much money to the market, because I had dropped by a lot of pips. So by here, I was like, nah, let me just secure more profits, up here. So, and then price kept on moving up. And then by here, I had already thought that now, okay, price is about to hit my stop loss. But then I was gonna be cool with that because it wasn't gonna be a loss. But then here, let me see. If I'm not mistaken, this right here, this candlestick here, because I had this trade running, for long. And then this, let me show you this candlestick right here. This was actually CPI, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think it was CPI. So I had this trade open during CPI. So that's why also I had adjusted my stop loss to here, because then I was like, okay, CPI can happen, anything can happen. Price can impulse to the upside and then from there take me out. So that's why I put my stop loss here. But then here, this candle right here, this bearish one, was CPI. So CPI pushed up a bit and then dropped. So and then from there, how I managed my trade was, once CPI happened and I saw it didn't take me out, okay, I was like, okay, I'm risk free. And then I waited for price to actually close below this zone for me to secure more profits. So once I saw this and once price closed below here, what I had done was, okay, let me just leave this and add another one. I had moved my stop loss to right about just above the zone. So I'm not sure if it was exactly, but I think it was around about here. Yeah, I think, yeah, it was actually here. That's where I had moved my stop loss now. So my stop loss was no longer here. Now it was here. Because then what? Because then we closed below this zone. But then what had happened was this, we actually dropped, and then from here I thought, okay, I was about to hit TP, but then the market came back, started basically was retesting the zone, which makes sense, makes a lot of sense. After impulsing so much, we have to come back and retest and create some sort of correction. So we can see here price came back, retesting the zone and created a choppy correction over here, and once that correction was done, price actually shot down and hit my final TP. So that's how I was actually able to catch this trade on USDCAD 7%. And that's how I actually managed it throughout. Because I think I held this trade for 2 days. I think so, because I opened the trade on the 11th of July and then I closed on the 13th. Let me actually check. Yeah, it was on the 11th and then I closed. TP got hit on the 13th. Yeah. So that was from the 11th to the 13th. And then I was out. So I got 7%. And this was on the Tuesday. So let's move on to the last and final trade that I took last week. Okay, so the last pair we're gonna be looking at, and which is the last trade I took last week on Wednesday on the 12th. So on this trade, I was able to catch 2%, which is not what I anticipated, but it's what I was able to get out of the market, So we're gonna use the same routine. I'm gonna show you guys the first screenshots of how the trade played out, and then we're gonna come back to the charts. So let's just go to the screenshots for you guys so can get an understanding before we go in. So, okay, this is the first screenshot of that I took as soon as I entered the trade. So as you can see here, we're in this downtrend and then we have this zone here. I'll show you how I also got this zone. And then here, this is what happened on the 1 hour time frame. The candle shot down and then pulled back. And then as soon as I saw this pullback, I went down on a lower time frame. And then I saw that I could place an entry over here. So that's what I did. I placed my entry over here. And then this is how the trade played out. As soon as I entered my trade, it impulsed up a bit to 2%. And then once price was up 2%, what I had done was I set TP over there. So then TP got hit, and then what I had done was I moved stop loss to break even. So, and then I was taken out at break even. So let's move to the real life market so I can show you how I was able to catch this analysis. Okay, so let me just go to trading view. So as you can see here, basically what I had seen was, okay, here. So that's what we had. We had that first touch up there. We had this first touch, second touch. This move wasn't here when I was still analyzing, so I'm not gonna cater for it right now. And then down here we had this move like that. Okay, so and then here while I was analyzing, I spotted out, okay, this is a support, so I could use this as a support over here, because you can see here we had our first touch, second touch here. That could be a double bottom. Then we came about here. So bear in mind that when I was analyzing, this wasn't all here. This from here wasn't all here. So let me show you. Okay, let me actually adjust this trend line because it wasn't here, it was over here. Okay, there we go. Because we had our first, let me just do this. Over here, we had our first touch. Over here, we had our second touch. And then here, I entered at our third touch over here. So I entered at this candlestick over here. So what I done was I entered my buys over here with my stop loss just below around about the years. And then my take profit, I had seen this previous support turn into resistance over here. Something of this nature. So then my take profit was up here. So let me also just do this. My take profit was up there. And my TP1 was set at 2%. And I think my 2% mark was, let me not, I think, yeah, it was around about, yeah, actually it was over here, right over here, because I remember it wicked up, but didn't close above. So my 2% target was over here, which was my TP1. And as soon as I entered here on this candle, price pushed up, hit my TP1, pushed above it. And from it, once I saw it push above, I thought, okay, from there, we're moving straight to the overall TP. But then it was actually just a wick, just wicked out. And the candle itself, the body of the candle closed way below. So from there, as soon as I hit TP1, what I had done was I adjusted my stop loss to break even. And then from there, obviously, it didn't go as anticipated because I at least wanted it to, from there push above and hit my TP, and then from there maybe come down and do that. But then that's not what happened. The market doesn't always give you what you want. So the market pulled down and then took me out at break even. So on this trade on GBPJPY, I was able to get 2% on this trade, which I can't complain. It's not a loss. It wasn't a loss for me, although I really anticipated for this trade to give me this 8%. Okay, at the time, okay, yeah, it was 8%. I was anticipating an 8% trade, but then I ended up getting 2%. So in total, for last week, I was able to bag. Let me check. It was 7%, right, on USDCAD, 2% on USDZAR. So I was able to capture 11% last week, which is not bad. That's a good week. On some weeks I go out at break even. On some weeks I go out at, 3% loss. Not every week was like last week. So I consider last week a good week for me. But thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.